We like to imagine our data as something weightless, drifting through an ethereal cloud, but the truth is far heavier, anchored in the unyielding reality of steel and concrete. It isn't in the sky, it's right here, buried in the heart of the earth, waiting for us to build it a castle of iron. Every second, nearly 100 terabytes of information pulse through the planet's arteries. To house this digital deluge, we don't just need a building, we need an engineering beast that breathes electricity and exhales heat with surgical precision. The journey begins with a vision that defies the impossible. Here, engineers don't just draw walls, they map out power grids capable of lighting up an entire city, all within a space fortified against every disaster, natural or man-made. Before the first stone is laid, the Earth must surrender its secrets. A legion of geologists descends upon the site, driving steel teeth deep into the soil, hunting for the bedrock, the ancient spine of the planet that will shoulder the crushing weight of 1,000 servers and cooling systems. Soil analysis isn't a luxury, it's a matter of life and death for the project. A microscopic shift in the future could disconnect millions of users. In this world, the margin for error is absolute zero. The location is no accident. We are standing strategically at the crossroads of massive power grids and transcontinental fiber optic cables. This is the heart that must pump data at the speed of light, without ever skipping a beat. Yet, the greatest enemy isn't the weight, it's the heat. This facility will generate enough thermal energy to melt polar ice if left untamed. Engineering here becomes a high-stakes choreography between fluid dynamics and the raw laws of physics. As dawn breaks, the sacred march begins. Fleets of heavy machinery crawl onto the site, ready to reshape the landscape to fit a grand architectural ambition. Every stake driven into the ground is a precise coordinate calculated by satellites. We measure success in millimeters. A tiny mistake at the start would snowball into an engineering catastrophe at the finish. First, the fragile crust is stripped away. Thousands of tons of topsoil are scraped off to reveal the solid layers beneath. An earth-moving operation that rivals the building of the pyramids. Beneath our boots, groundwater lurks, the natural enemy of concrete. Complex drainage systems are woven into the earth to divert the flow, ensuring the foundations remain as dry as a desert bone. From above, the site looks like a giant circuit board etched into the dirt, the genetic blueprint of the titan about to be born. The pressure is suffocating. The timeline is merciless. The budget runs into the billions, and every minute of delay costs a fortune. Speed is the game, but quality is the rule. In this place, night does not exist. Work continues under the blinding glare of floodlights that turn midnight into noon. The internet never sleeps, and neither do its cathedrals. The dream phase is over. It's time to dive into the hard reality. The next stage will decide the building's fate for the next century, sinking the steel roots. Massive pile drivers enter the scene, mechanical monsters designed to pierce the earth 50 meters deep. These machines are the keys to eternal stability. With rhythmic strikes that rattle the very air, steel casings are driven home, a clash between human will and nature's resistance. Inside these deep shafts, intricate steel cages are lowered to form the skeleton of the foundation, a reinforced web that will fuse with concrete to create an artificial stone. Then, the concrete trucks begin their endless dance. A thick, gray liquid fills the voids, hardening within hours into something tougher than rock, anchoring the building against earthquakes and gales. As the piles cure, excavators carve out trenches for the perimeter walls. We aren't just building a basement, we are building a bank vault the size of a football stadium. Thousands of workers bend their backs to hand-tie hundreds of miles of rebar. Every wire knot is a thread in a tapestry of strength designed to hold up thousands of tons. This complexity isn't for show. It's a calculated distribution of stress to prevent even the slightest crack under the immense pressure. In seismic zones, brute strength isn't enough. We install massive base isolators, lead, and rubber pads that decouple the building from the Earth's tremors. This allows the servers to keep humming even as the crust shakes. Then, the pump arms extend like robotic giraffe necks, pouring a continuous river of concrete in a logistical feat that allows for zero downtime. Pouring at night isn't a choice, it's a necessity to control the chemical heat of the cement. The cool night air prevents the thermal cracks that could kill a project before it starts. As the concrete flows, workers dive in with vibrators to shake out every last air bubble. Any pocket of air is a potential weakness. And here, perfection is the only acceptable grade. Electronic eyes monitor the curing process. Thermal cameras ensure the slab dries evenly, as temperature gaps could create internal stress before a single floor is even built. Over several days, the gray liquid transforms into a solid white plateau, the concrete mat. the platform that will carry the collective weight of human knowledge. Because water is the mortal enemy of electronics, the foundations are wrapped in layers of advanced membranes, a chemical shield, ensuring not a single drop of moisture seeps inside. Inspection teams scrutinize every seam with microscopic intensity. A pinhole leak today could cost millions tomorrow. Once the seal is verified, the earth is brought back to embrace the structure. Massive rollers compact the soil around the walls to prevent any future settling. Before the ground is closed forever, the arteries are planted, massive concrete tunnels for power and data cables, secret underground passages that allow for maintenance without ever picking up a shovel. A grid of pure copper is laid into the soil, the grounding system. This is the lightning rod that will protect sensitive gear from power surges and bolts from the blue. The copper is covered with special conductive soil, using science to boost the Earth's ability to swallow excess energy. Once again, the lasers return. The floor must be perfectly level. The servers that will live here are temperamental. They won't tolerate a tilt of even a fraction of a millimeter. Now, the structure reaches for the sky. The first tower crane rises, a metal giant that will lift thousands of tons of steel. Convoys of trucks arrive with prefabricated steel columns, machined with laser precision in distant factories. In a majestic moment, the first column rises to blot out the sun, marking the transition from the subterranean to the celestial. Ironworkers, the modern-day knights, secure the beams with massive bolts. The tension in every bolt is calculated to withstand the fury of the wind and the pull of gravity. Waterfalls of sparks fly as steel meets steel. Welding here isn't just joining, it's fusing metals into a single, unbreakable soul. We don't trust the naked eye. Ultrasonic sensors scan every weld, searching for microscopic bubbles. Safety is the religion we practice here. With startling speed, a forest of steel grows. This skeletal frame provides the vast, open spans needed for the endless rows of servers. Cross-bracing snaps into place, adding layers of rigidity against the forces of nature. As the building climbs, temporary floors are laid. Safety is the priority, and every step is tethered and timed. By sunset, the skeleton of the ground floor is complete. We have emerged from the earth, and now the real battle begins, building the living heart. Before a single wall goes up, we must master the wind. The architecture here is a slave to aerodynamics. The entire building is designed to be a giant, breathing lung. Instead of traditional pouring, we use tilt-up technology, where massive concrete walls are cast on the ground and lifted like the pages of a titan's book to form the building's skin. Slabs weighing dozens of tons settle into place with haunting precision, held by temporary steel braces until the structure is locked. Roof trusses soar overhead, webbed steel, designed to clear massive spaces without center columns, maximizing the floor space for the servers below. Metal roofing is laid down fast. The roof isn't just for rain, it's a massive deck that will eventually support cooling units weighing several tons. Inside, the space feels as hallowed as an ancient cathedral, but it is empty and cold. Soon, this silence will be replaced by the roar of fans and the hum of digital processors. Then comes the raised floor. Thousands of small metal pedestals are planted with surgical accuracy, lifting the true floor to create a vital void for cold air and power cables. The lasers return yet again. The heads of these pedestals must be perfectly aligned, or the server racks will wobble. Floor tiles are laid down, but they aren't all solid. Perforated tiles are placed strategically to shoot cold air from the void directly into the cold aisles between the racks. Above, cable trays are suspended, a complex highway of metal ladders that will carry tons of copper and fiber, the lifeblood of the facility. Order is the law. The paths are color-coded to prevent chaos. Yellow for fiber, blue for data, and red for power. This visual organization prevents disasters during maintenance. Instead of standard wiring, we use massive bus bars of pure copper electrical superhighways that carry enough current to power a neighborhood with minimal loss. Giant transformers arrive, the beasts that will tame the high-voltage juice from the grid and step it down for the delicate hardware. They are placed in isolated yards, each weighing over 50 tons, sitting on vibration-dampening pads to keep the facility quiet. We move to the GPU room, the first line of defense. Here, endless rows of advanced batteries stand ready to kick in within milliseconds if the grid fails. Technicians bolt arm-thick cables to battery terminals, checking the torque on every connection. Electrical resistance means heat, and heat means danger. In the back, the old guard waits. Massive diesel generators. These are engines the size of locomotives, capable of churning out megawatts for weeks if the world outside ends. To feed these monsters, double-walled fuel tanks are buried deep, a strategic reserve of liquid energy. The roar of these generators could deafen a man, so their rooms are wrapped in advanced acoustic insulation. Industrial silencers ensure the noise doesn't disturb the neighbors. The automatic transfer switch is tested the mechanical brain that decides when to sever the grid and fire up the engines in the blink of an eye. Back on the roof, the chillers are installed complete cooling factories that pump chilled water through a web of stainless steel pipes to soak up the server heat. The welding on these pipes must be aerospace grade. A single drop of water on a server is a catastrophe. Once again, X-rays scan the pipes. We are mixing water and electricity in the same room, a lethal combination that demands obsessive caution. The pipes are clad in thick thermal insulation to keep the water cold and prevent condensation from dripping onto the gear. Inside the halls, CRAC units, computer room air conditioning, are installed the field soldiers that distribute cold air with surgical precision. Then comes the smoke test. Engineers release white plumes to visually track the airflow, ensuring there are no hot pockets that could fry a processor. The MR, Meet Me Room, is built the most sacred ground. This is where the center's network shakes hands with the outside world. Fiber optic cables enter, glass strands thinner than human hair that carry the world's libraries. They are handled with extreme gentleness. One snap means terabytes of lost data. Splicing these fibers is an art form, performed under microscopes where glass is fused to glass at the nanometer scale to ensure light passes without reflection. The doors here aren't normal. Man-traps and anti-intrusion steel doors make entering the data hall harder than breaking into a central bank. Biometric scanners take their posts: iris, fingerprint, and vein patterns. The system doesn't trust keys. It only trusts biological identity. The fire suppression system is unique. We never use water. Instead, inert gases are used to strip the oxygen from the room, killing flames in seconds without harming the electronics. Even the sound of the gas release is dampened with special nozzles, because a sudden acoustic shock wave could shatter sensitive hard drives. The walls are coated in anti-static paint. Dust and static are the invisible enemies, and this environment must be cleaner than an operating room. Deep cleaning crews move in, wiping every millimeter and vacuuming every microscopic speck. The stage is set. In the long-awaited moment, trucks arrive loaded with server racks, the electronic brains that will inhabit this concrete body. They are unloaded with extreme care. Each rack is a fortune in concentrated technology. They roll into their pre-marked spots on the raised floor, forming long aisles that look like a library from the future. The racks are bolted to the floor. In an earthquake, these towers must move as one with the building, not fall like dominoes. Then, the combing begins. Technicians weave waterfalls of blue and yellow wires, connecting every server to the central network with artistic organization. Details matter. They use soft Velcro ties instead of hard plastic to protect the delicate glass fibers inside. Every server has dual power plugs connected to two entirely different sources. The principle of redundancy. If one source fails, the other takes over instantly. Every cable, every port, and every device gets its own ID. Thousands of labels and barcodes ensure this giant can be managed remotely with pinpoint accuracy. Gaps in the racks are sealed with blanking panels, not for aesthetics, but to force the cold air through the hot servers rather than letting it escape. The NOC, Network Operations Center, is prepped. A wall of screens flickers to life, the unblinking eye that monitors the pulse of every server and every cooling fan. Before the official launch, we trick the system. We use load banks, massive heaters, to simulate the heat of the servers and test the cooling to its limit. The moment of truth is the stress test. Engineers intentionally cut the main power. The lights flicker for a heartbeat, and then, to the roar of the generators, shakes the ground. Life returns. Thermal maps show the design is a success. Cold ISILs are ice blue, hot ISILs are ember red, and the separation is perfect. With the final touches, the plastic covers are peeled away, and the glass and metal surfaces shine. The building has transformed from a dusty construction site into a high-tech laboratory. Guards take their posts, and K9 patrols circle the perimeter. The site is now a restricted zone, a fortress. Inside, human minds begin to speak to electronic ones. Code flows to wake the servers from their slumber. A single green LED flickers, then another, then thousands. A symphony of dancing lights announces that the heart is beating and data is flowing through the veins. On the monitors, graphs jump to life as the first packets of data arrive from the outside world to be stored, processed, and sent back at the speed of light. The construction is complete. What was once a sketch on paper and a barren field is now one of the most complex structures on Earth. This isn't just a warehouse, it is the cornerstone of our digital civilization. Here, our memories, our money, and our knowledge are safe. It is the modern temple that ensures the world never stops turning.